If you have a true scary story you'd like to share with the channel, go to astheravendreams.com and click the button to send it my way. Or email it to astheravendreams@gmail.com, and of course, thank you. Hi, Raven. I've been watching your podcast and listening to your podcast for around 3 years on many different accounts. And I would like to say that I'm not very good at English, and my story is a little bit short, but here goes nothing. Here's my story. I was in the 6th grade going on a field trip, and the field trip started off okay. Me and my friends were going geocaching. Unfortunately, some of them, being the immature friends that they were, decided to run off as fast as they could and go eat, which left me and my other friends to walk alone. So we walk for a bit longer because we want to finish the geocaching activities, so we can just be done, and then sit around at a picnic table and talk afterward. This is when me and my friends are joking around, and then we come across a huge, what I want to say is an open cornfield, and we see a farmer just standing still in the middle of said cornfield. He's holding a pitchfork, and he's no more than 10 yards in front of us. In case any of you non-American listeners are listening, that's around 9 meters. Me and my friends suddenly stop because it's peculiar. But even more peculiar that the man doesn't notice us, or even move, for that matter. We then looked at his face to see if he could see us, and we noticed something off about his face. It was the fact that it wasn't there. Have you ever seen like an unrendered game like on a computer when it's running like a potato? Or I guess an old style PS1 game where you can't really see the character's face? That is the face that we saw the man have. Then, suddenly me and my friend both got scared, and just as we saw the guy, he disappeared. We started to run back, and just then the guy appeared in front of us, with his face still unrendered. Me and my friend at this point were shaking, and just as suddenly as he appeared the second time, he vanished. My friend said, "Whoa, did you see that?" And I said yes. The two of us decided to book it. We booked it back to the picnic table as fast as possible, and when we made it to the picnic table, we told our other friends what had happened. I thought it was weird, but I didn't think anything of it. Me and my friends still talk about this every once in a while, but none of us can explain what happened on that day. Hi, Raven. You read my story tonight regarding the concert venue size glitch. Again, thank you for reading it. Thank you for allowing me to do so. The story that I'm going to provide tonight, again, isn't scary, but definitely very strange. This could be classified as both a Mandela effect and a glitch in the Matrix. As I previously mentioned to you, I'm very much into subjects like this, and I pick up on glitches and other strange things very commonly. Back in January of this year, I was watching a Mandela effect video, and one that immediately drew my attention was the seahorse emoji never existing. Now, when I say this creeped me out, as I type this, I literally have the hair standing up on my arms and my body is tingling. You may think that's pretty serious over a seahorse emoji. Yes. The reason why, out of every single Mandela effect, that it is the one that I can say I'm not only 100% positive is real, but I have a glitch in the Matrix story that stems off of this. A bit about me. I work from home in city in the mountains of Colorado. I'm married with a daughter that is now 5 years old. My little girl is very much a daddy's girl, and she will text me from her mom's, my wife's, iPad random stuff throughout the day, even though I'm just in my office a floor above her in our house. I have a very busy job, however, and I try to text back as much as possible to my daughter. It makes her happy and also helps me smile and just have a positive vibe throughout my workday. So why is this important? Well, one day she was texting me all types of random emojis. So I did the same thing back, and what did I specifically send in one text? A bunch of seahorses. I specifically remember this because on my break that same day, I talked to my daughter about seahorses due to the emojis I sent her. So fast forward to hearing the Mandela effect, I thought, I'll go back and pull up my text on my phone so I can show the seahorse emoji did exist. I kid you not, my phone randomly stopped on 10/21/24. Coincidentally, almost a year ago, but that has nothing to do with the story. When I say it stopped, I mean that my text conversations to my daughter, for whatever reason, were deleted prior to this date. Now, I never delete texts. I have texts in my phone from 5+ years ago. So, the fact that the text thread randomly deleted on my phone after that date made no sense. So at this time I thought, okay, I'll check my daughter's iPad for the conversation. And this is the part that gets me. On her iPad, the conversations also just randomly delete after 10/21/24. Again, for no reason. She has text on there long before 10/21/24, and I do on my phone as well. Now, I have to be upfront. I can't say for sure what day the seahorse texts were sent. This wasn't exactly a monumental thing to write down at the time of it happening. However, would I say that mid-October sounds about right? I definitely would. 10/21/24 in my head, I know is the day after we sent those texts. And keep in mind, when I discovered this all, it was in January, so only about 3 months after the texting happened. It blows my mind. I love Mandela effects, and there are several that I think are fascinating. However, this is the first Mandela effect where something in my life was 100% altered due to the Mandela effect. I know those texts happened. My daughter even remembered it. And then the text threads randomly deleted from both my phone and her iPad. How does that happen? I will say that I'm huge into meditation. Not to promote my own channel, but I do have a fairly well-growing guided meditation channel on YouTube as well. I do very advanced meditation techniques, so I wonder if through my meditations I have shifted timelines. Or, possibly, just a normal Mandela effect story. But this one certainly gives me the chills still. This was obviously a very small change. I couldn't care less about a seahorse emoji in general, but again, this was an actual change in my reality. I 100% know I was in a reality where that emoji existed, and now it doesn't. Now the texts with my daughter no longer existed either with that emoji. Weird, but I do think it's kind of cool. Call me strange, but I enjoy picking up on the glitches and things we can't explain. Thank you as always, Raven. I hope you enjoy, as I will be sending more soon. Please do, and I did. Hello. I don't really know what category this experience fits in, so you can decide. I'm thinking it's either divine intervention, guardian angel activity, or, on the other end of the spectrum, quantum immortality. I honestly don't know. In 2018, my cousin was an auto mechanic working out of his own garage. I did all the part runs and detailing while he worked on the never-ending supply of broken-down vehicles. I always drove his 2017 Chevy 4x4 on these parts runs. Just in case you haven't noticed, those trucks are huge. His was an extra cab, so it was long enough to have to make wide turns, and tall enough that you could look semi-truck drivers in the eye when you meet with them. And so wide that it wouldn't fit in the automatic car wash. Yes, I did try. Once. The wheel stance was too wide to fit in the tracks. Have you ever had to back out of a car wash? So humiliating. One afternoon, I couldn't find the keys to his truck. I searched the truck, the house, the garage, and all the vehicles on the property before asking him where the keys were. He said they were in the truck, and I told him otherwise. He pulled out his phone and tried the key locator. We stood beside the truck with the door open and tried it again. because he was positive they were in the truck. No key found. He went back to work, and I spent another 30 minutes walking through his house, garage, and property with his phone using the key locator to no avail. I even tried to start the truck with his phone. When that didn't work, I gave up and drove my minivan. Not as big, beautiful, or badass, not as computerized, and no cameras at the time, but she's reliable. On the way to the store, I came to a stretch of this 55-mile-per-hour, 2-lane road, with a couple of houses and driveways on an uphill grade to the left of the road. To the right side, just past the white line, there was a drop-off of about 6 inches from the pavement to the grass. There's no guardrail, and the ground starts a fairly steep downhill slope that goes about 200 yards down to a forest. In other words, if you cross the white line and drop off the pavement, you'll likely flip several times until you hit the trees. There would be no returning to the roadway no matter how fast or slow you're driving because of the 6-inch drop-off. Regardless of reaction and reaction time, it would have been a very bumpy ride and required no less than 1 rotating crane truck and 1 regular wrecker just to recover what's left of the vehicle. As bad luck would have it, I was meeting an 18-wheeler. The double yellow line was dead center of his truck and trailer. I was at least on the white line. It was more like I had my right side completely off of the road, and an angel held my van up off the grass. I don't know how else we could have missed each other. I remember seeing his rear front tires in front of me, and then I was behind him. It was as if we had gone through each other. I got off the brakes and looked in the rearview mirror to see him coming to a stop. The store I was headed to would close in an hour, and I had about 20 more minutes of travel time to get there, so I kept going. I also knew that if I went back, I would do more than just talk to him. I don't know, though. I was in such a state of shock that I might have passed out if I tried to get out and walk up to him. When I got the parts secured in the van, I looked over from top to bottom. Not a scratch anywhere on the body or the undercarriage. On the way back, I parked in one of the driveways and walked that stretch of road looking for evidence. There was no single tire or dually skid marks on the road or in the grass. There wasn't any damage to the 6 inches of pavement where my entire wheel assembly would have been torn off had I dropped off the edge of the road. Not one indication that the near accident had happened at all. This made me regret not talking to the trucker. Later, I would come to regret not asking the homeowners if they had cameras overlooking the street. At first, I was sure that my guardian angel had hidden the keys to the truck to keep me from driving it that day. The truck was simply too wide to have been able to avoid the semi. It was also too tall to avoid a rollover if it had left the road. After running countless scenarios through my mind, I went back to the road and realized that my van was also too wide to avoid the semi without leaving the road. So I decided that not only did the angel hide the keys, it also intervened during the actual accident. I spent the rest of 2018 and part of 2019 only half believing the angel saved my life. The other half of me was still running scenarios about how the Matrix creator didn't want the cameras in the truck recording my quantum leap and sending the video back to his phone. I'm sure I spent too much time looking for new Mandela effects as well. Of course, when the sickness took over the world in 2019, I gave up trying to figure out the whys and hows of the not fatal accident and traded in my thinking cap and a nice new mask. I do sometimes wonder if my old timeline suffered from the sickness too. The truck sat silent for about 2 weeks because neither of us had the time to go to the dealer for new keys. I went to get the registration and VIN out of the truck so I could go get new keys, and I found the keys in the cup holder. We grew up in the same neighborhood. From our first bicycles, motorcycles, cars, and trucks, we have always shared. It was not uncommon for us to temporarily trade any of our vehicles. Our friends were constantly pulling the wrong person over. He isn't a prankster either, so no, he didn't hide the keys. Beside that, if he didn't want me to drive the 4x4, he would have just said so instead of wasting wages on looking for the keys. Anyway, thanks for the outlet, Raven. My daughter started a new job that makes it hard to get her daughter, my granddaughter, from school. So, I take on the responsibility 2 days a week, and then her parents fill in the rest. I'm retired, so I have no problem doing this. One day, in September of 2025, I was 45 minutes early, so to pass the time, I went to an antique shop I've passed many times and stopped to browse. I walked around and was feeling guilty for not seeing anything to buy, but then I came upon a jewelry case and saw 2 pairs of gold post-costume jewelry. So, I bought both pairs. When I got home, I soaked the earrings in alcohol overnight in a small children's medicine cup to clean and sanitize them. The next afternoon, I placed a paper towel on the counter and took the cup and swished them around. I did see gunk. Because there wasn't much alcohol in the cup, I dumped the earrings onto my hand over the paper towel, and noticed that one pair had layered over each other, so I separated them using my thumb and pointer finger, and then put them back in my hand. Because I had alcohol and the earrings, I took my hand and flipped them over onto the paper towel. Except, I only saw 3 earrings. It was the set that layered over that was missing 1 earring, and I'm thinking, wow, how could they return to the same position so quickly? I picked the 1 earring up and saw that it was just 1. Where did it go? It was just in my hand literally 3 seconds ago. I have 4 earring backs on the paper towel, but I'm missing an earring. So I started looking around my area and couldn't find it. I checked the floor and even in the drawers where I knew it couldn't be. I almost cried because it was right in my hand and then disappeared. It was freaking scary. I told my daughter and she thinks that the earrings were haunted by a previous owner, and they don't want me to have them, so they took the earring away. My husband thinks the house is haunted and now wants the house saged, and I can't explain why or how this happened. Maybe it was a glitch in the Matrix? Years ago, I was living in Shelburne, Ontario, with my young toddler son. It was mid-March and I was planning to meet my teenage niece for tea on the following day, as she was on her March break. That night, I had just put my son to bed, and was doing some tidying up while daydreaming. As I tidied, I kept seeing in my head this beautiful image, like a painting, of African women wearing colorful headscarves and dresses. I actually stopped what I was doing and tried to sketch it, because the image was really beautiful, and also felt persistent in my head. However, the drawing went nowhere and eventually I gave up. The next day I went to the nearby town with my son. We did a few errands, and then we went to meet my niece for tea in a local cafe. As we all sat down with our teas and treats, I looked around and noticed the artwork on the wall. Like many cafes, they periodically change the artwork to showcase different local artists. What I saw held my gaze for a long while. There was a series of framed watercolor paintings of various sizes portraying these beautiful African women in colorful headscarves and dresses, with backgrounds of desert trees and sunsets. I was quite shook, but also I have experienced such things at different times in my life, so I also greeted this surprise with a sense of recognition and curiosity. Over tea, my niece told me that her father was going to separate from his wife, my niece's stepmother. The huge amount of stress of them fighting had finally come to this conclusion. I know this time had been very, very stressful for my niece. but she reassured me that this separation was probably for the best for everyone involved. We talked for a while, finished our tea and treats, and said goodbye, and then we went on with our days. After some reflection, I decided that seeing the painting in my head the night before was like a sign, that my intuition and the divine were involved and that I could trust that, somehow, things were going to work out. That while my niece and family may need some support, somehow things would be okay. Fast forward to December of that year. My brother and his wife have separated, and while they are all going through a hard time, they're getting through it. And there is peace where before there was fighting. My husband and I decide to take our son to a Christmas Carol event at a local museum held in a pioneer church on the museum grounds. The church is packed and singing is loud, and my toddler son is already a little fussy and uncomfortable. 3 carols in, someone blows a piercing slide whistle, and my son starts shrieking and sobbing. We grab our coats and race out of the church quickly and retreat to the museum building for quiet and refreshments. We get some apple cider, my son is calmer now, and we're walking around at a gift show, sale, and auction of local artisans. There's pottery, weaving, jewelry, paintings, and prints, and some handmade soaps. And we're enjoying this quiet time to look at these beautiful creations, plus the various historical pioneer exhibits. All of a sudden, I see a table with the same watercolor paintings of the African women. Several are for sale, but we don't have the money to buy art. We're broke due to paying for our house, and me working only part-time as we're raising our young son. One small framed painting, however, is available as a prize for a fundraising auction. I think the tickets were 3 for $10, which I could afford. I buy 3 tickets, and I put them all in the jar for this print. As I put my tickets in the jar, I notice that the jar has a bunch of other tickets in it, and I'm so hopeful that I would win. Not only are they beautiful, I feel strangely connected to this artwork, even though I don't really know why. A week later, beyond my hope, I received a call that I had won that painting. I'm so excited. I'll never really understand my connection to this painting, but I am grateful. And it gives me trust that life's ups and downs will somehow work out. I think much later I may have met the artist and tried to tell her the story of how I got her painting. I think she thought I was weird. So the connection wasn't about me and her. It was something else. Something personal and much bigger. A reminder to trust life even when it feels topsy-turvy. Thank you, Raven. This is the second story I've submitted, and it's so exciting to hear you read them. And I love all the other stories and experiences that people share, and I love your narration style. I'm really grateful to your channel. I'm grateful for you listening, so thank you very much. Hey, Raven. I've been listening to your podcast for weeks now, and listening to the stories you tell is really captivating. Well, thank you. The glitch stories reminded me of a time that I may have experienced a glitch myself. This was about 9 years ago now. I was sitting on my bed reading, and I decided to get myself a drink. I set my book down and went to the kitchen to pour some soda. After I came back to the bedroom, I placed the drink on the nightstand, as I wasn't completely ready to have some, and decided to continue reading. About 30 minutes later, I was finally able to break away from reading and grab my drink from the nightstand, only to find that it was all gone. I was a bit freaked out and confused because I know that I hadn't drank it all yet. I even checked the floor nightstand to see if it spilled at all, but both spots were both dry. It freaks me out because I know I didn't drink it, and it was all gone like I had never even poured it. Maybe I did, but time just skipped on me and now I don't have any recollection of ever getting a sip. It's disappointing, but freaky all the same. I honestly don't know what happened. If anyone has thoughts on it, I would like to know, but for now I'm going to go with my guess and saying that time skipped on me. Thank you for such a wonderful podcast. I feel like I can finally get my story out there, and have a good day or night. Thank you for listening. Hey Raven, thanks for reading my last story. It makes me feel better that I wasn't the only one who found it confusing. The pencil story, I mean. I thought that was going to be my one and only glitch in the Matrix story, but something literally just happened now and I'm kind of scared and confused. So that's why I'm writing this at like 4 in the morning. I do tarot card readings sometimes, just sometimes and casually. I did a 5-card reading for something that I'm curious about. I just submitted my manuscript to 5 publishers and did a 5-card quick yes-no on whether the publishers will like it. Good luck. I did the reading on top of my keyboard backlit laptop with the lights on and recorded the results with a quick C+ or C-, as in cards say something good, something bad. I did this in the note columns of Google Sheets that I have as my tracker for manuscript submissions. I navigated my laptop and used it enough that I know if things are on my keyboard. I would know if I didn't put all the cards back. It's a small card, but the laptop is just 14 inches. It's not a lot of space, and it has a backlit keyboard. If things are in the way, the backlight would be hidden behind whichever object. When I used the laptop afterwards, there was nothing on the keyboard. I used the laptop as normal. If there was something on the keyboard, I would have noticed it immediately. I made sure to put away all the cards and use the laptop afterwards, and put on Family Guy and then fell asleep. When the Family Guy season was nearing the end, I woke up around 3 a.m. or so. I checked my laptop. There was a single tower card on the keyboard. Again, I made sure that I put all the cards away, and the tower card freaks me out, so I would have done doubly so. I live alone, so where the hell did that card come from? And when I checked my messages, one of my friends who I was worried about had left a group chat. We haven't heard from her in a while, and she's unreachable, and I'm worried and kind of freaked out right now. So, what is happening? Queued at the checkout yesterday afternoon at the grocery outlet, the woman in front of me asked the cashier the price of a bottled drink, some kind of juice, 16 ounces or so in size. The cashier tells her $1.99 or whatever, and the woman is like, "Oh, that's a great price, can you please ring me up for 3, and I'll just run back and get 2 more of them then." The cashier presumably does, and finishes ringing her up. I glance over as she's paying and the cashier is bagging her stuff. I'm looking directly at 3 bottles of juice. The one that she had on the conveyor when I got in line behind her, and I guess the other 2 that she was paying for right now. The whole exchange took like 40 seconds. The woman certainly did not leave the line to go get the bottles of juice, which weren't displayed anywhere near the checkout, let alone the exit end of it. She had 1 bottle. She only had like 4 or 5 things total, and that juice was the last thing she'd placed on the belt before politely putting the divider thing up so I could start putting my stuff down. She checked the price, said she would pay for 2 extra, and go back for them after she was done in line. And then they were just there. The cashier bags them up. The woman pays, offers to help another woman with her bags. The second woman declines. She takes her groceries and leaves the store. If video games hadn't inured me to glitchy things like that, I imagine I'd have a hard time pretending I had just witnessed a mundane little impossible thing happen. I have no idea if either the lady or the cashier were aware of the juice that had just miracled itself there, and were faking not noticing anything awry or not. What if all 3 of us were absolutely freaking wowed out, baffled, but just pretending nothing was amiss? Da-da-dum. Just take care of some grocery buying, Normal stuff here. Nothing going on. At the time, I thought I was the only one who noticed, but now I'm wondering. So that, my friends, was this week's collection of Glitch in the Matrix stories. Hopefully you all enjoyed them. This is a collection of stories that highlight the strange, weird, bizarre, and awkwardness of our existence. Mandela effects, disappearing objects, quantum immortality, all of it is bizarre. And all of it is right here in this collection. So, yeah. Glitch stories always are intriguing, and hopefully, like I said, you all enjoyed them. Based on the views they get, I would say you do. I personally enjoy them. I think they're interesting stories, and I love reading them, otherwise I wouldn't keep going, would I? Or maybe I would, because I'm a sucker for pain, I don't know. Anyways, if you enjoyed the stories, please do hit that like button, that'd be great, I'd appreciate that. If you're new to the channel and like what you heard, please consider subscribing. That helps the channel grow, it helps a lot, just so you know. I want to real quick mention, we will be live streaming over here on YouTube on Halloween. So if you are interested in joining a live stream and don't have anything else going on Halloween, come on down. Love to see you. Love to see how you're doing. Love to say hi. I promise it will be a good one. One to remember, I promise. And I'm not lying about that. Why do I say that? You'll just have to be here to figure it out, huh? Anyways, hopefully you all enjoy it. If you want, you can join Patreon and memberships, get early access to content like this and other things, depending on what you sign up for. You can also go to astheravendreams.com to submit your story, find my social media links, read stories I've written, fiction stories, and also find all the places where my podcast is available in longer format, such as Spotify, Apple, Pandora, etc. 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 I don't know why I said etc. I think I combined Apple with etc. in my head. Anyways, the other thing we do on Glitch in the Matrix videos is the word of the week. Now, last week I apparently forgot to put the picture with all the screenshots, so I'm sorry about that. I did put the word of the week in the pinned comments. Some of you noticed. Some of you didn't notice and told me that I forgot to put it in the video, even though I pinned a comment saying that I forgot to put it in the video. It's okay. Not everyone sees the pinned comments. That is all right. To those who didn't have their comment on the video, I'm very sorry. I did thank you in the comment section. I again apologize. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. Never claimed to be, though. So, on the screen right now, though, is a collection of all of last week's comments that left the word of the week. Again, it was in the comments. It wasn't on the video, so I know a few of you may not have noticed that, and that's okay as well. Sorry about that again. This week I will do better, I promise. But thank you to each and every single person up there who gave a comment with the word of the week, who did see it and did do that for me. You guys help push the videos harder. You guys help things do better. You guys help the channel grow. You're amazing, and I appreciate that. This week, the word of the week is going to be super, super easy. I am doing it because it is Halloween week. The word of the week will be Halloween. Yep, it's a super one. A super easy one. Sorry, not a super one. Sure. Super easy one. Just say Halloween. You don't have to say Happy Halloween. Just say Halloween. Say what your Halloween plans are. Or heck, if you don't feel like saying the word Halloween, leave a jack-o'-lantern emoji in the comments. I think I did this back in 2023. I will do it again this year. Last year, what did I do? I actually did a word. Okay, so this year I'm not doing a word. I'm doing Halloween. So, anyway. Halloween or a jack-o'-lantern in a comment. Get your comment featured next week on the Glitch video. You know how it goes. You are amazing. You are loved. You are valid. You are important. You're the best you that you can be. Don't forget it. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Be here for the live stream on Halloween if you can. If not, it's okay. We will probably be starting at 5 or 6 p.m. Central. I'm thinking 5. But, yeah. That's it, friends. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Hope I see you again here next time. But until then, much love. And, of course, sleep well.